Awesome. Continue.
Hi everyone, so my name is Claire, I'm the Naked Warrior, and I'm super excited to be here today with Tessa Whittock. She is a shining example of female empowerment, being an inspirational role model and really stepping up and following her passion to do what she loves doing and inspire others around her. I was lucky enough to meet her recently at Goodwood Festival of Speed and just totally resonated with you, with your journey. So yeah, let's hear a little bit more about you and how you've got here and why you do what you do. So come on, introduce yourself, Tessa.
Awesome. I am Tessa Whittock. I am a Driftworks and Monster Energy athlete, and I've been drifting for about 10 years now, on and off, because I worked in the finance industry for many years, and then decided to make the change and fully get into drifting full-time as such, and I now own a Drift Academy. But I would say the story is a rather long one, so we'll cut it short a little bit. In essence, that I started, I think I went when I was very young. I went to a Japanese show with my dad and his friends and whatnot, and I saw this commotion going on over the back, and it was actually some drift taxis, and got in one of those, and it was an R32 Skyline that I got in. And from that day forward, I was actually very passionate about the sport, and that's what I wanted to get into.
And how old were you then?
I was about 14 then, and by the time I was 21, I was able to buy my R33 Skyline, and yeah, did literally taught myself in very many ways, because there wasn't a lot of access to doing different things to do with sort of the training aspects of stuff and going and getting taught at, say, a Drift Academy and whatnot. So then, yeah, I took myself to Santapod again because they did a lot of Drift What You Brung days, and it's when I could fit everything in, really. And then I took myself to Lydden Hill because I lived down south. Yeah, that's that way, and I drove my car to say like a drift day, with full of tires, jack, all sort of the spares as such. And then when I've returned, it was turn the music up a little bit because you get a new noise, that kind of thing. So
I was going to say, the wear and tear on your own car, like that's brave, taking your car down to track. So what was that like?
It was, I love driving my Skyline as much as I had a world of diff and things like that. And I used to get quite a few different looks when I used to turn up at Epping Station. And I did have a couple of people sort of say to me, is there something wrong with your car? Because obviously reversing into a space and whatnot, it would skip essentially because the diff is welded, so everything's connected. And it's like, no, everything's fine. And I sort of obviously get out in a pencil skirt and suit and whatnot, and they not anticipate that in the slightest. So yeah, it was, and I loved it. I love driving my car on the road, and it is an iconic car. I mean, lots of people do say they are relative to barges and boats and things like that, but I still loved the 33. I did personally want an R34, but it was slightly out of my price range. Right. But yeah, and then I was doing the sort of learning, teaching myself, and obviously getting to know people over the time of teaching myself. And then it was very much getting to know those people, and they didn't mind getting in the car with me. And there was a few women that used to do it back in the day as well, which I kind of looked up to, definitely, and they were sort of my idols as such. And then sort of teaching online, and yeah, going to different events, getting the seat time, because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. So how did you make that transition? And obviously you mentioned that you used to work in the world of finance, and you know that was where your career was, and it's that total contrast, isn't it, and that contradiction, you know, like you putting up in your car, everyone's looking at it, and then out you get all suited and booted for the city. So whilst you were working in the city, and you know, within the finance industry, were you still getting out each weekend doing track days and working on your car? And how did you integrate the two to then be at that point where you could make that leap?
It was very much as and when I could, because anything about the investment banking world, it was very high pressure, lots of hours, and keeping awake at silly hours and working throughout day and night, really, early mornings, late nights, and having to deal with it, really. So I would get out when I could, and it wasn't every weekend at all. It was very much what I could do each and every time that I could. So I would say it was potentially sort of a month to 2 month basis that I'd be able to get out and give it a whirl. But yeah, I'm not going to say anything else, because otherwise I'll say something wrong as such.
I'll ask my next question. So then obviously you got into out of that world and more into drifting, and then you set up your Drift Academy. Tell me a little bit more about that and where the inspiration came from and how that all works.
So when I made the transition to move up to the Midlands, because I met my other half, and because the finance world was very different, and I couldn't be going back and forth to London, because I was taking sort of a 6-hour journey there and back to and from town, and it was killing me, really. And I moved up here, and it was quite a transition to see how the world moved. And slower. It wasn't a lot slower.
Even in your Skyline, you're like, whoa, gotta slow down.
exactly. So yeah, I did a couple of jobs here and there at different sales roles and whatnot, but it didn't really suit me at all. And I used to work on a rare occasion of other drift academies all over the UK. And one in particular was called Drift Elite at the time, that was a very good friend of mine and my other halves. And I sort of said, and we sort of said as a collective, like, it would be great to see if we could do something like this eventually, and set something up like this as a business. And then basically the opportunity came when we worked for the company that I now own, which is called Rdx Drift Academy. The guys who originally ran it for about a year and a half, 2 years, they wanted to sell it because, one, they didn't have time, and I think it was a case of that they knew that their expertise could be better suited somewhere else, and they offered it to Martin and I. And Martin's got his own business as a mechanic and things like that, an engine builder and car builder and stuff. So he said, well, we can still run it together as such, but it will be your company. And I've taken it upon my shoulders and taken the reins on it, and it's gone crazy from there. So
I know, it's incredible. I have checked it out, actually. So next time I get up north, because I can't say that I've had much experience drifting personally. So, but definitely, it looks so much fun.
So you're more than welcome to come up.
Oh, amazing! Definitely, I will do. In terms of the actual drifting, like, what do you love most about drifting? And obviously, there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of smoke, and what do you love most about it?
Oh gosh, what don't I love about it? It's probably the best way to describe it. It's fast, it's sideways. So you've got the circuit driving, you've got the rally driving, all in one, really. And actually, it's a lot better skill set, because it's more of a technical type of driving, just because you're controlling an out of control car.
Yeah.
And
it's not a natural movement, is it, at all?
Exactly. And I like the fact that you have to have that element that if you can't control it, you're out of control. And it's that boundary where you can be going 110 miles an hour down a straight and throwing the car sideways, and you're like, well, if we hold it, we hold it. And it is sometimes like that, but as well, you get that thrill factor and the adrenaline and the lust for it, essentially. Definitely.
Yeah, and there's a big, you know, when you watch it, there's a performance to it as well, and it's just incredible to watch. So that must be addictive. So I can definitely understand that.
Yes, yeah, there is that. And then, but obviously, as you said, it's the noise, it's the smoke, it is such a spectator sport, and it does bring the crowds, and that's what I love as well. And being a Monster Energy athlete, that comes as a natural thing. If you're not able to put a display on and show off, then you can't be one of who I am. So,
well, you're definitely one of a kind. You know, when I met you, I know it was the first time that a lady was going to be drifting up the hill at Goodwood, and but the first lady for Monster Energy within Driftcana. So that's incredible. It's such an amazing accolade, and you know, so inspirational, and such a good role model to show women and young girls that there are other avenues to get into motorsport that other than just, you know, straightforward racing. I love it. Definitely. So tell me a little bit more about your journey. You know, have you had to overcome any challenges, or what social stigmas that have you faced that you've, you know, found like, oh, I've got to push through a boundary, or anything like that?
There's always the boundaries. There's also the social stigmas of anything in motorsport. It's always going to come up against something. And yeah, I would say I certainly have, but it's one of those where you have to push through that, because otherwise you won't get to where you want to be. And I'm certainly nowhere where I want to be at the moment, because I know I can push for more. And I think that's where a lot of people struggle with, because they have that the pushback from people, keyboard warriors and people like that aren't very nice people and shouldn't be allowed to do that kind of thing. But unfortunately, that's the way of the world now. And sorry, there's a little puppy in the background.
Hi.
No, come back to snooze now.
Yeah.
But there's,
I mean, has there been anything that sticks out in your mind that you've had to deal with, you know, that you're happy to talk about on a personal level, and you know, how did you overcome that? So, you know, we can give the viewers something that they can grasp hold of, to say, yeah, if this happens to me, this is what I'll do.
Yeah. On a personal note of mine, I've always not been liked from a very sort of from my secondary school years, and I got bullied a hell of a lot, and I think that's made me into a stronger person over the years. And working in a very male dominant industry, that certainly hardened my skin even more. And I would say I don't take any crap from anyone, just because I think if you want something out of life, you've got to go out there and get it. And if you're willing to take on board people's negativity and their demoralizing statements and things like that, then you're never going to get anywhere in life, because unfortunately we've got to work our way through the struggles. There's no easiness in life, let alone the motorsport world. And yeah, women may be not a commodity, but as such, that they're coming into the realms of getting more into motorsport and understanding that they can get more into motorsport without feeling the pressure of it just being a male dominated industry. But I don't know really. It's one of those where there's a lot of contrast in it, and I have felt it, and I have been in that place quite a few times, and I've always said that it goes straight over my head because of what I've dealt with when I've been a lot younger, as such. And I think you then get used to just people not liking things, and you go out there and go, actually, yes I can. And if you tell me that I can't, it's going to make me more determined to do what I want to do. So yeah,
definitely. And it's, you know what you want, it's sticking to your goals and staying in your lane and staying focused, straightforward on that. Definitely, 100%.
Indeed. Yeah.
So what would you say like your biggest career highlight or standout moment memory is right now for you? Because obviously there's going to be so many more in the future to come, like just today.
To date, One, there is so many. One obviously being the most recent one, which is the main highlight. It is definitely Goodwood Festival of Speed. If you're a motorhead, if you're interested in motorsport, if you are passionate about those kind of things, that's where you want to be. And if you can get to drive up or drift as such, up the hill, that is once in a lifetime opportunity, definitely, for sure. But my other one, I would say, is my very first time I set foot in European drifting. I actually went to a track over in France called Rdx, and it was my first time doing any sort of competition over in Europe, and I actually came first out of Queen of Europe, which I was like, okay, I might be okay at this. Let's see how the rest of the season goes. And that was, to me, sort of my highlight. And then coming out of that year, third in Queen of Europe and 8th in King of Europe out of 78 drivers, I think it was, and obviously mixed pack and whatnot, is a massive pat on my back as such. And I thought, yeah, you know what, carry on doing what you're doing. It's going not too bad. You can always do better. Definitely.
So those little wins along the way that help to reinforce your belief in yourself and your confidence around you.
Exactly that. Yeah.
So do you have say any coaches or mentors, like who helps you to stay focused and prepare for what you do?
So I would say my other half, Martin, he's very much that kind of a person, even though sometimes he just leaves me to it, and sometimes it's best that way, because I'm an interesting person when it comes to competing sometimes. But he does try. I've got a lot better now of accepting criticisms and also letting people tell me what I need to know. Whereas some of the time I do go out on my own and just go, right, we're going to do it. This is what we're going to do. Because as well, Martin is sometimes competing at the same time as I am. So it's quite a hard dynamic to try and do. But he is definitely the guy that puts me on the straight and narrow as such.
Good, we all need one of those, don't we?
Exactly.
So how do you prepare for events? So for instance, with Goodwood, like, you know, the big accolade that you achieved then, how did you prepare for that? Like, how many times were you practicing, and, you know, what's the background story to that?
That's the thing with drifting, because quite a few tracks now unfortunately don't accept it, and have sort of closed down for drifting, because lots of people around the surrounding areas decide to move next to a racetrack and complain and moan about the noise. Yeah. I'm very lucky in essence that I get to teach customers and friends and whatnot how to drift. So that's my way of sort of training, because it's seat time at the end of the day, and it's more of a precision factor into it as well, and it helps me massively. But otherwise it's I have to get my car ready. I'm continuously checking things and oil changes and making sure all nut and bolt tight literally every time before I go to an event anyway. And it's those sort of checklists that I sort of do in my head that gets me in the mode as such.
Oh, definitely. And so tell me a little bit more about how you got involved with Monster Energy as well, because obviously, you know, that they're a big sponsor of yours, you represent them. So how did that collaboration come together?
So I think it was after my first year of competition. I think they possibly, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I think they were possibly watching me throughout my first year of competition. And halfway through my second year, I got invited to the World Rallycross at Silverstone. And it was one of those things of, oh my gosh. And yes, I did have a lovely friend, and I do have a lovely friend, sorry, Stephen Bagsy Bagioni, who's a Monster Energy athlete, who's a really good friend of Martin and I's. sort of mentioned to me that they're looking for a female Monster Energy athlete in the drifting way, and they were choosing a lot of different girls from Europe, it seemed, and I happened to be around at Silverstone, and it was sort of initiation type thing. And a year after I went to the World RX, I signed my contract with Monster Energy, and I think it's very much of, you have to have a personality. You've got to go out there and prove yourself and show off to the max and put on a good show to crowd, fans, and stand and sign things and have photos for hours and hours on end still in your race suit. And I love all that because it's giving back to everybody else, and we want people like that, because if it wasn't for the crowd and the people who come to see us, then there would be no reason to have events.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, like I said, when I met you, you know, that's what you were doing. You were with your car, and, you know, what drew me to you was just the big smile and the energy that you had around you, you know. So then when we got talking and I found out more about your story, I was like, wow, I have to learn more about you. So this is incredible. Just a couple more questions. I know that we've got one of the viewers who has a question as well. What would you say to anyone, females in particular or males as well, if they're looking to try and get into a role within motorsport, you know, or to drifting, or, you know, getting into this new arena for them? What advice would you give?
I would honestly say, because I mean, I think I'm different in such a way because I haven't got a family that's in motorsport, which a lot of people do, which is a great step up, and I have no qualms about that whatsoever, and I think that's amazing. But from my point of view, doing stuff on my own, it is a lot harder, don't get me wrong, and drifting is a lot easier than you going into go-karting and then wanting to step up into, say, like a Clio Cup kind of thing, and then Ginetta and things like that. But it's honestly, go out there and fight for it, because you can do it, and you should never be told that you can't. And it's very important to go out there and do what your passion is, because if you don't, then it's a waste, and you don't want to forget your love and your passion for cars and your love for racing, because you will never enjoy what you do in the future if you've missed out that opportunity. Definitely.
I love that. It's giving me goosebumps. It's so true, you know. You've got to follow what you love doing, and then exactly the same with you, like, then you stand out because you're connected to what fires you up and you're passionate about, and you're good at it as well, you know. So it's, you've just got to jump in and do it. So what's next on the agenda for you?
I've actually been invited this week. I'm taking the car over to the Motorsport Motorsport UK.
They have an event coming up, I know.
Yes. It's over at Farnborough. I'm taking my car over there on Wednesday. There's a show this weekend, which is from Thursday till Sunday. And my car will be on the Motorsport UK stand for Drift Pro UK. Then I will be going to Donington on the 30th of August, and we'll be doing the Drift Pro Championship, and it is called the British Motor Show, that I'll be going to at Farnborough this weekend. Sorry, I completely forgot.
I know, there's no pressure.
It was so much pressure.
Oh, bless you. Amazing. And then in terms of your Drift Academy, let's have a chat about that, like what are your plans with that? Because obviously, you know, I had a look, you're doing different levels of courses and things like that, which all looks incredible and slightly scary.
Yeah, no, definitely not scary. It's all about
exactly.
It's all about good fun. So I want to build the Drift Academy and potentially to have a look at extending my venues to different places, and also to be a corporate entity as well. So having more of corporate days too, to put on some good fun for people. And I think there's not enough of that, and especially team building days. We've been in lockdown for such a long time, and big companies that want to bring teams back together, I think it's a really, really good opportunity. I mean, coming from a corporate background myself, I think clay pigeon shooting and golfing has been done to death. And they need something new to do, and it really does bring teams together. It really does. Yeah. And from the aspect of teaching wise, I want to teach more, I don't know what's the word, because I've been in the stunt world as well, so I understand that from a stunt perspective too. So it's very much I love to teach, extend my knowledge, and also extend people's knowledge that want to get on the stunt register, and things like that as well. So yeah, and put people through up from literally knowing nothing all the way up to competition as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. There's so much going on for you, and of course you got your little puppy bouncing around in the background, and we can't forget that you recently got engaged, and so there's going to be another big date in the calendar, so massive congratulations for all of that. There's so much going on for you right now. It's awesome. We do just have one more question. Let me just have a look. So this is from Kishelle. Sorry, my lights in my accent. One of my questions is, aside from seat time, what is your next best bit of advice for progressing within motorsport? Great question.
What a good question. That's awesome. Seat time. Get out there and go and meet other people that do the same thing, and ask advice, and don't be scared of that, because a lot of people are. And I frequently get questions from a lot of people to say, how do you get into it? How do you progress and things? And it's very much who you know in the industry, and not being scared of getting involved with other people and asking those questions, and you end up developing friends in that sense as well. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. To reiterate that question as well, I'm part of the Formula Women Health team and a BIKC ambassador as well, and I've grown that through, reaching out, talking to people, and just showing value and helping out and being there. And now I'm doing this
sharing that passion, right?
Exactly.
You're sharing that passion.
Do either of you two, Kishelle or VJ, have any other questions that you'd like to shoot through to Tessa right now? Oh, hold on. Okay. Oh, we got more. How are you finding the pressures of big sponsors like Monster Energy when you come to compete? And how do you set yourself up mentally to cope with those expectations? No, keep them coming, Kishelle. She's like, sorry, I have a few. Keep them coming.
They are huge. It's huge pressure on anybody's shoulders to have sponsorship behind them, and you want to deliver, you want to succeed. And it is that when you have technical failure and things like that, you feel like you've let them down, and you want to do everything in your power to get back out there, get back on the horse again as such, and go out there and show that you can do it. It is such a struggle, but you've just got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Okay. And how is it best to approach companies for sponsorship? I don't like to ask for sponsorship if I haven't got anything to prove or show myself worthy or taking a punt. But with the Formula Women competition I've entered, awesome. It's one of our assessments to generate media coverage and to show how we can obtain and grow sponsorship and media relations. So how would you advise on that?
I would honestly say, one, you've made the step to put yourself forward for something, which is a lot better than not just sitting back and letting it happen. But going out there and obtaining that kind of sponsorship, it is hard, but it's the persistence that is key. And if they say no at the end of it, then you know that you can still go out there, and there's tons of different companies. You don't have to stick with just the motorsport companies. It is over all of the industries that you can look for. Yes, it is a difficult time at the moment, but there is still money out there.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that.
Don't be scared of it.
No, definitely. Just to reiterate as well, in my second book that I wrote, The Winning Formula, I interviewed Penny Mallory, and she used to be rally car driver, and she spoke about sponsorship as well, and just getting out there and asking. A lot of people are scared to ask, and show yourself, prove yourself, and give value, and let them know how it's going to help them and what's in it for them. And I think she was sponsored by, I don't know, some sanitary product, so like you said, it doesn't even have to be it's related to females, but it doesn't have to be within motorsport, so think outside the box as well, and have that tenacity and just don't give up.
Indeed.
Cool. She's saying also thank you for being such a massive inspiration. Oh, you can see these two.
Thank you very much, Kishelle. That means a million. Thank you so much. And thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, no, it's been great. Thank you for your questions. Oh, you're welcome. Tessa, thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy lady. You've got so much going on. It's been incredible to hear more from you and share your story. So thank you so much. I will be sharing this, like I said, and I'll send you the link and everything. Hello, little puppy. And then we'll be connected. And hopefully the next time we chat, little puppy can have a name.
Definitely, exactly. Hopefully.
Good luck with everything, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care of yourself. Thank you again, everybody. See you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.